Wyc, in 2002, when you and a group bought the Boston Celtics, a lot of people were astounded at the $360 million purchase price, in particular because you were coming in as a tenant to this building and not an owner. What were your thoughts at that time in terms of being able to make a return on the investment and buying the team?
The idea of buying the team was that it was probably the last Boston team to be sold in my lifetime, and I wanted to be part of it. And it wasn't actually for sale, but I went down and found the owner in Manhattan and sort of beat down his door and said, "What's the price? How much?" It was, I thought, a safe investment. We would maybe lose a little or make a little, or it might double someday. But it was really more, it's probably a safe place to put money and we'd have the time of our lives. It was really more about what we could do with it and the pride coming back. And I named the company Banner 17. Money was way down the list.
So money not being the first priority, but the heritage of the franchise, was that a big consideration?
It was. It's just born and raised in Boston, like all of my partners. We're all Boston guys, and it just felt like the chance of a lifetime to be part of the Celtics and try to raise Banner 17.
Is it unusual being part of an ownership group that runs a team with multiple owners? I mean, you look at a lot of the teams generally led by one owner. You know, in football, you have the Packers, which is run by a board. It's a publicly owned, but it's very unusual in professional sports to have a successfully run team with multiple investors. What challenges has that presented, and how have you made it work?
Well, we made it very crisp and clear in the very beginning exactly how decisions would be made. Everybody's comfortable with it. My father and I have the controlling interest in the team from that standpoint, but we enjoy consulting with our partners. It is a partnership, and we're 10 years in, and it's been fantastic. We're very lucky to have the partners we have.
The first few years, attendance wasn't that great, and then prior to winning the championship in 2008, you actually had 2 years where you didn't make the playoffs. Were you getting concerned at that point?
Well, I was getting concerned just because I don't like watching our team lose. We did feel we had a plan in place to build it. We thought we had Danny here, the right guy to be our new general manager, and Doc Rivers, the right guy to be our new coach. And with those guys, we were going to give them 4 or 5 years, whatever it took to build it up. And it did take 4 years, and there we were in a parade. It was a little more difficult than that, but those guys were a big part of it. And we had them here. We knew if we were patient, we felt we would get better.
And big signings prior to that, Kevin Garnett, Ray Allen. What did winning the championship do for this team in terms of increasing revenue and opening up business opportunities?
You know, I think that championship year might have been one of our weaker financial years, actually. I mean, we've been selling out for years now. I'm glad to say, appreciate the fans coming. That particular year, I think we lost a little money the championship year. Maybe it was buying the rings. I don't know what it was, or whatever we did. But you know, it's about the championship, and then the money follows. If you run the team the right way, this is my point of view. If you run it hot, if you put everything you can into it, everything you can into basketball, everything you can into servicing and thanking customers and sponsors, everything you possibly can do, run it hot. Okay, don't run it cold, don't run it cheap, run it hot. Then when it goes well, you know, it all pays back one way or another. But the fun of it is, and the purpose of owning a team is to compete on the court and to help the community, and we do those first and foremost.
Were you surprised at how hard it was to get back to winning? In other words, the team had sort of just made the playoffs and started to come back prior to you buying it, and then yet it really took a big investment on, you know, Kevin Garnett and other players, and in fact, you've had one of the higher payrolls in the NBA. Did that come as a surprise to you?
Well, we learned the business along the way. We came in not knowing exactly how to run a pro team, obviously. I had been a venture capital investor, and here I am the CEO and sort of chairman of the team. So learn on the fly. It's a tough league. It's very, very competitive. There's some very smart people with a lot of resources in this league. You need superstars to win the NBA. We decided you need 3 superstars to win. We went back and looked at the last 25 years. That's how you win. So we built up and waited and bided our time until we could trade for Ray, our second superstar, and then KG, our third. And when that happened, all of a sudden, we're the best team in the league.
I read that you were actually looking into buying other sports teams before buying the Celtics. Did they include teams outside of the NBA as well?
That I would say kicked it around. My father's a huge sports fan and has always really loved baseball and has looked at and actually bid on baseball teams, a couple of them in MLB over the years. When it came sort of my turn, when I had sort of built up some capital and a career and started looking around, I focused on the Celtics, looked at a couple other things, really focused on the Celtics. This is the one, I saw this as a Boston team, my hometown. This is the one that could work for me. And luckily, we've made it work. It's been great.
How hard was it making the transition from being a venture capital guy to being an owner of the Celtics?
Well, I loved it right away. And I named the company Banner 17, as I said. And in the first press conference, somebody, a venerable Boston sports journalist, asked me, the first question I'd ever gotten, what is this Banner 17 all about? What are you saying? He said, are you saying that you'll be a failure if you don't win a banner? And I said on the fly, I said, absolutely, I'm going to win Banner 17 or I'm going to die trying. So that's the way we've said it from the beginning. And the fans have hooked into that. They believe that we care. We're doing this for them. We're doing this for Red Auerbach and Bill Russell, people that built this, which is much bigger than us. This is bigger. And we're part of it, really having the time of our lives.
And you're also involved in a lot of charities. It helps you really get involved with the community, and I think none other is more important to you than the Perkins School for the Blind.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about your involvement with that school and your son Campbell.
Well, thanks for asking. Campbell's the reason we're back in Boston, really. I was born and raised here, but we had a nice life out in Northern California. But Campbell was born blind, and he needed the resources of Perkins here in Watertown. It's really the world's leading school for the blind. With Perkins, later this month, we're going to India, my wife and I, to tour schools for the blind in Mumbai. So, I mean, this is a passion and a mission that will last the rest of our lives. But we're glad Perkins is here. We've done everything we can to try to help it and help blind kids.
Was being on the board of Perkins really the primary reason in your involvement with Perkins that you left Highland Capital? I mean, because you really wanted to get totally involved with that and the team?
I would say I left Highland to do the team, but Corinne had already been, my wife had already become heavily involved at Perkins, as we both are. I left Highland really to come do the Celtics, and I'm still working with and good friends with all those Highland guys. They're fantastic guys. I wouldn't be here without them.
What's been Campbell's reaction to you owning the team? I mean, does he come back and say, Dad, you got to make this move or that move? Or I'm sure he puts in, gives you some input.
Well, I'm going to enroll him in the ref training program. I think he could do just as well as some of those other guys. But Campbell, he likes coming to the games. He likes the guys. He meets the guys on the plane, the team plane, or at practice, and interacts with them. My daughter comes to more games than my son does, but Campbell will sit here courtside. He'll put his feet on the floor and feel the guys coming and hear the game, and it's fun. He's not completely tuned into it, but that might come later.
When you were on the way to winning the championship, you met in a Boston hotel. I think it was the Harbor Inn, and there was a meeting with a bunch of sponsors and so forth about what was going to happen. And it was sort of used as a platform to say, the Celtics are back and get more involved with sponsors and so forth. What went down at that meeting?
I told the sponsors in the audience and the potential sponsors, I said, look, I take it very personally if someone's going to buy a sponsorship and put their brand, their company, with our company and our brand and support us. We're going to do everything we can, back to die trying. We'll die trying to try to make this work for you guys. We're going to honor your brand. We're going to give you an honorable team to hook up with here to be with. And so we take it really personally when sponsors come in because it's their businesses they're putting on the line with us. And it's worked. We've rapidly grown our sponsorships. Our sponsors are happy. They're doing more business. And they're associated with a winning team sort of on and off the court. So it's been a nice mix. And most of our sponsors now come and they say, we want to do things in the community with you as well as at the games. And so we're out with TD Bank. We're out with Harvard Pilgrim. We're out in the community every day, including tomorrow morning, for example, in Lawrence, Mass. I mean, this is what we do with them. They want to be out there with us helping the kids.
That's been a big part of the financial success that I think a lot of people doubted originally when you bought the team, because people were saying you're coming into a building, it's owned by the Jacobs family, which also, of course, owns the Bruins. You're a tenant. The sponsorship opportunities aren't going to be as great as if you operated the lease or owned the building. Yet you've succeeded on that. And it seems like you've brought in a lot of local sponsors. It was almost like a windshield replacement, sponsor, a plumber. Were you able to succeed in finding a plethora of local sponsors?
Well, I would start by saying the relationship with the Jacobs family and Delaware North has been very, very good. It's a good building. It's been renovated, and it's well located, and it's a lively, it's right in the heart of Boston. So on storied Causeway Street. So I mean, this is where we want to be, and we've made it work by working in partnership with Delaware North. So that's been fine. We do take our brand outside. We have in-game rights, but we take the brand out morning, noon, and night out into the community, and that adds to our sponsorship dollars. There's no doubt about it.
You also did some interesting reconfiguration of courtside seats and tables to give sponsors some more visibility. Where did you get that idea, and how successful has it been?
Well, I was sitting courtside, and right behind me were a whole bunch of scouts from the Atlanta Hawks and Milwaukee Bucks and Los Angeles Lakers. I'm going, what are these guys doing in the second row? And then the whole courtside was sort of out-of-town journalists, and whom I respect, including you, very much. But listen, it's a $1,500 seat, and so we moved our press table up into the stands. We moved our scout table. Other teams trying to beat our brains in. Well, we stick their scouts up in the stands a little bit. It's just basic 101, and now everybody in the league does that. Every team in the league does that. Something else we started on a different topic. We started renewing our tickets in February, when there's still a chance, everybody's still in the mix in February for a playoff push. And we renew our tickets in February now. We say, some years, we say, if you renew now, you'll get free playoff games, or a free trip, to a playoff game. And so it helps. Why renew in August when everybody's watching some other sport, or is at the vacation place, or is mowing the lawn and not watching basketball? Why not renew in February when your team's still playing and you can get people excited? Now every team in the league renews in February.
You were also, I believe, the first NBA team to incorporate technology that allows you in real time to sort of monitor what seats and season tickets are being sold, something with StatBridge. Right. How successful has that been?
I don't know if we were the first. I'm happy if we were. We're early. I know Mark Cuban is always early on these things, and others, but we're trying to be at the very cutting edge of technology. We want to know what seats are selling, what seats aren't. We will change prices. We're more like an airline now, much more dynamic than we used to be. And we know if you're coming to the game, we know if you're using your tickets. If a season ticket holder doesn't swipe his or her tickets for 2 games in a row, they'll get a call or a letter or an email saying, is everything okay? You want to talk? Is there anything we could do better? We want them to use their seats, and we want them happy so that they'll come back next year. And it's working. Our renewal rate this year was over 94%.
In 2011, you renew your local cable deal, and I believe it starts after the 2017 season, but seemed to be a little bit early before the huge pickup in rights fees took place.
Oh, we're thrilled. It's absolutely fantastic. I think, I don't know about timing markets, but whatever timing this was just fine for us, and hopefully just fine for Comcast as well, and they seem very happy. We just had a board meeting. So we are partners with them, and there are market value resets along the way to make sure everything's fair for both sides. There's some equity ownership as well, which helps to sort of make sure nobody's on one side or the other sort of taking too much of it. It's a partnership, and it's working very well. Those guys are fantastic.
Yeah, some teams sort of seem to go with the equity partnership in the regional sports network. Other teams don't. I'm thinking like the Lakers did not. It's a straight rights fee. You guys have. What are the advantages of having an equity stake in the RSN?
Well, I'm an equity guy by nature. This is what I've done since the 90s, or really the 80s. I've worked with equity and invested in equity. So I like having that kind of partnership and that kind of ownership. And then all of our goals are aligned. And if things go way higher, the equity helps you. It's just it's a way of doing business. It's the way I've always done business, is to be an equity guy.